So we will delete this cat sprite and we will paint a new sprite for the player. Now inside here I'm using a square because I like squares for the collisions. Now after that, what we need is to rename this sprite one as player. Now we need some variables, so make a variable x and y for this sprite only, both. Now we need camera x, I will say cam x for all sprites, and camera y also for all sprites. Now another one will be falling for this sprite only, and for this sprite only sx speedx and sy speed y for this sprite only. Now I hide all these variables, and now we need a ground sprite for the player, so we'll duplicate this and we're gonna call this ground. Now after this, inside the costume metadata, we will draw a simple ground floor for the player to walk around and to check for the collisions, etc. Now in the coding tab, delete sx, sy and falling variable. Now back in the player sprite, here when green flag is clicked, we will show the sprite and we will set all the variables to 0. Now I forget to set the speed x and speed y for 0, but you do like this. Now drag out forever. Now we need a custom block. We're gonna call this move. Now make sure you have take this run without screen refresh. Now drag this new block under here, and inside this move custom block, we'll check if the user press the right arrow key. Then what we need to do, we'll change the speed x by 2. Now we'll duplicate this, and if left arrow key is pressed, then we will change speed x by -2, and we will set speed x to speed x times 0.8 for the friction. Now after this, we will check if the absolute of speed x is more than 0.9. Then if it is, then we need a custom block. We're gonna call this change x by add input. We're gonna call this as x. Now drag this new custom block under here, and inside this we're gonna say round as x. And again we will check if the user press up arrow key. Then we will check another condition, if the following variable is less than 4. Then if it is, then we will set speed y to 20. Now at the end of this script, what we need to do is to check if the speed y is less than -20, and if this condition is true, then we will change speed y by -2 to overcome the gravity. Now we need another custom block. We're gonna call this change y by, now add a numeric input of sy. Now press OK. Now again drag this new custom block under here, and inside the parameter area we will duplicate the sy variable. Now after this, we will change the camera x variable by the x of the player minus the camera x variable, and we will divide all this stuff by 10 or 15. Now drag this into the change camera x and duplicate this, and we will replace the camera y and camera y divided by 10. Now we'll check if the camera x variable is less than 0. Then if it is, then we will set the camera x to 0. Now if the camera y is less than 0, then we will set camera y to 0. Inside the change y by sy custom block, we will change the y of the player by the sy parameter. Now after this, what we need to do is we will change following variable by 1, and we need another custom block, position. Now press OK. Now inside the position, we will say go to. Now we'll put under here x minus camera x, and inside the y portion we will say y minus camera y. Now we will call this position function under here inside the block. Now we will say repeat until we are not touching the ground. And we will need an if else statement. We will check if the sy parameter is more than 0, then we will change y by -1, and inside the else we will say change y by 1. Now we will set falling to 0. Now again position, and lastly we will set sy speed y to 0. Now inside the change x by the sx, now we need to change x by the sx parameter position if touching the ground. Then we will repeat 10 for the slope collisions. Repeat 12 inside. Here we will change y by 1 position, and we will check if we are not touching the ground, then we don't need it, then we will stop this script, and we will change y by -12 to reposition the player. Now duplicate this repeat until and put this down here, and just replace this sy with the sx parameter. If sx is more than 0, then we will change x by -1, else change x by 1, remove this and remove this, set speed y to 0. Now I think we have done the scripting under these two custom blocks. Now after the move inside the forever loop, we need a broadcast and wait a new message, and we're gonna call this position. Now press OK. Now we will call this position message inside the ground sprite. Now drag out the when I receive position, what we need to do is we will say the x minus scroll x, the same as we done inside the player sprite, and inside the y we will say y minus camera y. Now after this we will drag when green flag is clicked, we will set x and set y variables to 0, and we will switch costume to costume 1. For now we have one costume. Now we need to make a block. We're gonna call this clone at x. Now we will add an input of x, a label y, and again an input of y. Now make sure you have pressed this run without screen refresh. Now drag this new custom block under here. Now in the x, drag out 480 and 0. Now inside the new custom block, create clone of myself, change x by x and change y by the y parameter. Now drag out next costume. This will be the clone generation of the level sprite. Now for now, when we press the green flag, then nothing will happen, I think. Now you can see we are not falling to the ground, but we can move left and right and everything is working properly. Now this is because we are using a wrong operator inside the move custom block. Now in here we are saying that if the sy is less than -28, but we should use the greater than. So remove this less than and drag out the greater than operator. Now we will put if the sy is more than -20, then change sy by -2. Now when we press the green flag, you can see we can move around, we can jump, and we can detect the walls, and everything is working properly, and the clone generation is also working. We will duplicate the first costume, and inside here we will little bit change this because I don't like to use the same costumes. Now in here, duplicate just one of the existing block and you will find another clone of the level sprite. Now you can see this is the first costume and this is the second one. Now using this method you can add a lot of levels to your game and you can make your project more interesting. Now the next thing that I think I should add is to duplicate this ground sprite, and we're gonna call this danger because this will be the danger sprites. Now for now delete this block, and inside the costume editor we need to draw some dangerous sprites like this. For now I am drawing the dangerous spike for the player like this. Now of course you can use anything for the dangerous sprites. You can just position it on the ground properly and send it to back layer. Now delete the ground costumes, but don't delete the spikes in the danger sprite. Now copy this spike and paste it in the second costume and just position it on the ground. Send it to bake layer and then delete all of these things except the spike. Now when we have done this, now in the player sprite we will have to detect this inside the move custom block. We will check if we are touching the danger sprites. So drag out touching and select the danger sprite. If you are touching this, then the game will be over. So drag out stop all, but before that we need to broadcast a new message of game over. Now where we will receive this message for this, but before that let's test it. Now you can see this stuck spike in the edge. So in the costume editor, what we need to do is to draw a transparent rectangle around the whole costume and make it transparent. Now copy this and paste it in the second costume. Now when we press the green flag, you can see the problem has solved. Now paint a new sprite, game over, and inside here we will write a simple text of game over. Now you can use anything you want, but I'm using this text. Now in the coding tab, drag out when green flag clicked, hide when I receive game over message. What we need to do, we will show this and we will send it to front layer and we will position it on the X0 and Y0. Now let's press the green flag. You can see everything is working. If we touch the spike, then the game is over. Let's see the another spike is working. Yes, it is working. Now, what if you want to add more levels or anything to your game? Just if you want to add more spikes, then duplicate one of the existing block and duplicate one costume. And inside the ground sprite, duplicate one of the existing block and duplicate one costume.